Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another Around the Town of Branford with Henry and Frank. I'm Frank Toohill. Special guest today, Al Paluzzi Jr., the Town of Branford's Park and Recreation Director. We're standing on the beautiful Emerald Fields here at Hammer Field, right adjacent to the Joe Trapasso Community House. And Alex, it is so great to be here with you and be on this beautiful field. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Frank. So Hammer Field goes back into the early 19 teens.
Yes.
And that looking across the way, Henry's looking across at that grandstand. That grandstand is over 100 years old at this point right now.
And it's still in excellent shape.
Yes. And we just are finishing up with an Eagle Scout project that was done. We're going to actually do an event on June 6th on a Saturday to dedicate it back from the Eagle Scout project to the community house in the Parks and Rec department. It still gets great use now. The intermediate school teams utilize this. The high school team utilizes this at times. Middle school it's their home field right now, and also for our teen baseball. So what's exciting about it is when it gets on hot days and you need some shade and a place to go, and it's a beautiful refurbished grandstand. So an Eagle Scout project, originally the first iteration of the redo was by the Branford Lions Club back in the 1980s. And I can't think, led by Vin Giordano, who was the president at the time, along with the Dornfeld brothers and all the Lions Club, did the first iteration of that grandstand to save it. And,
who's the Eagle Scout that just did it, Alex?
Mr. Rowe.
Young Mr. Rowe.
Yeah, phenomenal job. Rowe family that's been in Branford for a long time.
Great.
And Frank, back in the early teens and 20s, this was used by. It was actually used by the high school as their football field. It was also used by, if you've heard, the Branford Laurels, the football team back here. So it was kind of semi-pro football. Hammer Field was home field for the Branford Laurels, and it was home to Branford, for all those years, and for many years in the 80s and 90s, we had close to 90 softball teams. We had probably close to 50 men's. We had about 20 college teams, and we also had a women's league, and so we had close to 90 teams back in the early 80s, and we used to have tournaments here. It was the Hop Nuzzo Invitational Softball Tournament for many years, very popular. Yep. Teams came from all over. Not just the state of Connecticut, also New England. So we had 3 softball fields at the time, but as times went on, things had changed, and all those parents that are now grandparents, all those kids that are now parents and grandparents, now are raising their kids on these fields. So we've really, it's become basically home to the freshman baseball team, the middle school baseball team at the high school, this Hammer Field Main Diamond, which we redid a couple of years back. You can see it's in really pristine shape.
Yes.
All organically manicured over the years.
You're an expert on that. I mean, all the directors in the state, they all recognize you. Is it right? They call you. They want advice.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm an expert, but I have a really good team. I had a gentleman named Dr. Jerry Silbert for the Watershed Partnership, along with Chuck Sherwood, who does a lot of our in-house field prep, and we've done it organically for 30 years.
I know it. It's wonderful.
And we might have a few weeds here and there, and you'll
I don't see any.
But what happens is the organics really take over and make you really good turf. Just to give you an example, looking right on here, this area of the field used to be a baseball field, which was clay. It's now grass, and as also you can see the infield, it's a perfectly manicured field that we made, which is up and coming, a 50-70 baseball field for kids that are transitioning out of Little League to the next step to the big diamond over there.
Just standing here, Alex, and looking at the field, the beautiful field. I mean, it's so thick, and it's only a year old, like you say. It's so dark green. I mean, it looks like artificial turf. It's so great.
Yeah. So we just we put a lot of our assets that we had in our field renovation just to this field, and you would think, oh, it's really not that much, but we probably spent about $20,000 just on redoing this field, because we had to put irrigation in, we had to redo the irrigation, we had to bring material in, we also had to bring our organics in, and also we're going to be putting up a netting along this area. Ralph Torrey Painting Company, who just finished doing the Little League netting down at the Little League field to get in this year is donating his lift over there for us to do. So he saved us, the town, about $3,000 on renting that lift, to get this work done. It takes a few days to get the nets up. Yeah. So we're really grateful to, and I like to talk about Ralph Torrey Sr., too, who's really had kids and grandkids that came up through the project. Last year, they did some work on the dugouts for us, gratis. They came down, they put some clapboards on, and they did some painting for us, no cost to the town. So it was really, people like that keep us going, keeps the town really at bay, and I can't thank them enough for what they did. So
it's true. That's great.
Yeah. So, but again, this field is it's also utilized, as you know, for lacrosse. It's also utilized for soccer. And what's going to happen this year, because of the new field that we got the proceeds for, $7.65 million for the new Walsh Intermediate School, 2 turf fields lit, softball field that's going to be lit, playground.
It's comprehensive.
New basketball court, comprehensive plan.
They thought of everything down there. It's going to be magnificent.
Right. So those kids, where are they going to go? They're going to come to Hammer Field. So we're going to transform Hammer Field this summer into a football field for the fall.
Because the brand new Walsh facility won't be ready till 25, right?
Correct. Yeah. And as you can see, it's pristine, and football might dig it up a little bit, which just happens with time. But we had it a few years ago when they did the school, and look what happened. We brought it back. So I think we got to keep rotating our fields as best we can. But really, the reason that it looks so good, to be honest, is really what we took a chance on organics back in the early 90s. And I was on the Phase 2 Stormwater Committee, so we couldn't add, synthetic fertilizers. We were trying to get away from that. We weren't mandated, but around schools they were mandated. We just felt we would be a good steward of that ship. And people have come all from Yale University. They've come from Chicago to visit our fields, to see at our care. So I'm pretty proud about that, Frank.
I believe it. You've done such a wonderful job as recreation director for what? Is it 41, almost 42 years?
32 years. I'm in my 32nd year as director of Parks and Rec, but I've been working at the town for 50 years. Yeah. I just finished my 42nd, so it'll be about 43 years when I'm all said and done, I think. And I have a great team. I could not have done it. I talked about Chuck Sherwood Landscaping that does a lot of this in-house work for us, but my guys now have just done a phenomenal job. I got Nick Pilastri, who's heading up my maintenance division now, and they've just done such
He took over from Butch?
He took over from Butch Cody.
Retired,
Butch did it for 36 years.
Yeah, he was wonderful.
And we used to call him Postcard Perfect Butch, so Butch would love a field like this. So it's really about how we cut it. So we try to cut it at around 2 3/4, 3 inches, which is healthy for the grass. Yeah. But as you can see, we just cut it yesterday, and look how thick it is and growing already. But that's kind of what you get.
It's unbelievable because, to grow grass like this usually takes 3 years, right?
Well, it takes at least a year and a half to get a decent turf cover. Yeah. But with our organics, we're able to still get it to up that to about a year. And as you can see, this is ready. Our goal was May 1st, and we're just about on time now.
That's wonderful.
So we'll be opening this field for play in about another week or so.
Well, thank you so much for having us down here to Hammer Field and showing us these beautiful fields. Now, what park would you like to take us to next?
Yeah, we're going to head to Foot Park, Frank, and I'll explain a little bit more, because the projects that were out there was approximately, when they did this study on 18 different sites, it was close to $50 million. Now, obviously, we can't do all that work at once. That's a lot of money to get a lot of work done. But what we did by this plan, and thank you to First Selectman Cosgrove and Finance Director Jim Finch, and obviously the Board of Finance and RTM, and it never would have happened. Never would have happened. So, I've been really looking towards this back when I first started as director, even before the beautiful new community center that we did. It was on my radar. I've been pushing it for years, as a lot of your RTM members would know. Yeah. And I think it just finally got heard.
Yeah, it's true.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. There was other things. Obviously, public safety is number one in our town, which we're going to continue to improve in the fire department, in their ranks, and also the police department. Yeah. And EMS is just a different world since we came out of COVID, and public safety is number one. But again, in my world, obviously, number one for us is taking care of all the needs of all the ages in town for parks and recreation. And we got to start with the parks. The parks are busier than they've ever been since we're coming out of COVID. So people needed somewhere to go and to be outside. So we're really proud of where we are. I'm really happy that the town and my board of recreation and Paul Criscola leading the way. I have a great board. Really, we're
Bill O'Brien.
Really Bill O'Brien. We can keep going down. Bimmy Hergert, Gene Crowley.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Great people.
You know, so William T. O'Brien we mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Paul Criscola, Bimmy Hergert. You know, so. But anyways, they've been looking ahead of the game, and I was really happy in the last couple of years where Selectman Cosgrove really took the bull by the horn as he's done for the last decade with taking projects that were on the shelf and taking care of them, but also in the meantime, you know, reducing, you know, paying off, you know, our liabilities and stuff, but also putting the money into the infrastructure and getting things done. And this is what you have in a really fiscal responsible way. And that's what you know, Branford's always been a conservative town like that, all the administrations through, but he's really gone to the next level and continues to do so. So you know, I can't thank them enough for getting this done. And also, you know, the work that we have too. We have such great success. I couldn't have done this without. I talked about my staff, but DPW. You know, Gary Zielinski is our new Department of Public Works director, and he's also you know. He likes to get down to the dirt and get it done, but he's done so many things for our department to make us look better. But it's really for the town, for the townspeople. So he's done a really good job at so many of our parks, and he was instrumental even in this parks of taking care of our poles here and putting them in line. So you know, and planting trees in so many different of our parks. I can't thank them enough. So
I know it.
But again, it's just it's time now. It's the time for us to get it done, and I'm just happy that I've been able to see most of this through for the future. So part of this project too is part of that master plan where we took a piece of our budget and put it here, and you'll see that we just finished writing another grant for Foot Park. We just received it, over $300,000, and part of that capital money is going to go for the girls softball to build dugouts, to redo the fields and safety netting, as we talked about here. So, and that's part of that project of the future. So we're starting to work on it, and the town is working on it right now, and will continue to do so. What that plan did was it gave us a concept, what the Board of Recreation, what we can do in the town for the future. So we have a plan to go by. Not that everything has to get done, but we can make little bits and pieces for them, and a lot of that will come to fruition as time goes on.
That's great. Okay, we're talking with Alex Paluzzi Jr., the 32-year director of Branford's Parks and Recreation, and he just showed us and talked about, you know, the wonderful fields down here at Hammerfield, and right now he's going to accompany us to tell us even more about Foot Parks. So stay with us as Around the Town of Branford with Henry and Frank continues. Okay, we're back. This is Around the Town of Branford with Henry and Frank. We're down here at Foot Park with Alex Paluzzi Jr. He's the Park and Recreation Director for 32 years for the town of Branford. Now, Alex, right, you are only Branford's second Recreation Director, right?
No, actually, I'm the fifth. That's my lucky number. So
you're the fifth? I thought it was just you and Joe.
No, so there was 3 directors before Joe and I. Harry Parsons was the first in 1924.
Wow.
So I'm big with numbers. They call me Rayman. In 2024, in the 100th year of Parks and Recreation Directors, there's been 5 male directors for 100 years. And out of the first 3, Harry Brazel was another one. Out of the first 3, they combined for 25 years. And Joe Trapasso and I have combined for 75 years. At the end of this year, it'll be 75 years that Joe Trapasso and myself have been the director of Parks and Recreation, the 5th in 75 years. And Joe, in the community house, the old community house Joe was in 1951 on Monowee Street.
Yeah.
And the new community house, I started there as a 5-year-old in programs there when that opened, the original community house opened. And now the new community house now, which was in 2019, you know, I've been part of both of those. And Joe raised all the funds in town to build that first community house.
I know it.
And Joe's was just, he was, for his time of the
He was a visionary.
60s,
Yeah.
oh yes,
I know,
70s,
yeah.
and he just did a phenomenal job. right through the 80s, and I was really honored to be able to take them. It took me 10 years to get on my feet to kind of try to make my mark on the department here, but I learned from the best in the business. So
It's true.
but one thing down here was getting back to Foot Park, and I always said Joe Trapasso was instrumental in getting Foot Park here. From Wally Foote back in the time when John Sliney was in office, and Joe had mentioned, hey, Wally Foote left his estate to Foot Park to the residents of Branford, which is a 44-acre parcel on the Branford River going out to Branford Harbor and Long Island Sound, and then Riverside Park, which has really improved immensely over the last few years, which are two parcels off of Pine Orchard Road and Old Pine Orchard Road.
That's right, yeah.
We'll talk about that at the end of our interview today. But one thing was when this was being built and they had to bring fill onto this property to build Foot Park back in the early 70s, a lot of it came from this area. All the phragmites back here went all the way up to Sampson Field over here. It was all phragmites, and that was if I'm not incorrect, that was a strawberry field on Wally Foote's property over here. For many years, it was a strawberry farm. And people would remember that from back then. So anyways, it's just a phenomenal, all those acreage, and the acreage that we have here on Sliney Field, which was named after John Sliney, our first selectman. I think he was 9 terms, 18 years. We were able to get these fields, which used to be all adult softball fields, now that are kids softball fields now.
The thing with Sliney was, I think he was in office for 22 years or 23, and then he died in office. But they said that he held the record because he was continuously elected in Connecticut for 50 years because he served on the Board of Ed prior to becoming the first selectman. So
there you go. You're right. You might have had 11 terms then. I know he had at least 9, but you're right. I thought it was 18 or 22, something like that. But
it
again,
was crazy though, long time.
Yeah, so we're proud of the field, and again, all organically maintained. What's great about Foot Park, and we've had so many improvements here at Foot Park, is that it's all by the Foot Trust. So
they pay the town of Branford to.
Yes. So back in the time, we probably reduced the costs by half, and we're in our 9th year here. I have to write a grant every October, and we put it together, and then we wait to hear from the Foot Trust. And we usually get $125,000 for operating within our budget and $75,000 for capital. But we've had big capital projects down there, and the Foot Trust has been great to us. And so we've written some bigger grants. A couple of years ago, we wrote one for $375,000. We received all of it. Wow. And we just wrote one for $300,000. And the day of the Board of Finance hearings, the next day, we found out that we got all $300,000. And we'll explain a little bit about when we go up to the other part of the park of what happened there. But again, one thing that the first selectman and I talked about was like if we can open up, if we can make it one whole parcel area, which we did. So there was a fence that went all the way across the property, and we had one way to get in. But we thought it was such a beautiful area. Let's open it up so it's open. We want parks to be open, so people have easy access for it. And we took down all the dead trees that were here and all the bad fencing. And now it's really opened up. So it's beautiful. We have 4 fields, 4 Little League baseball fields on that property. Wow. It also serves as 3 to 4 soccer fields during the fall season, because most of our fields are all multi-purpose. And then we've got all of Foot Park here, which has 3 softball fields, which specifically now is really home to Branford girls softball, which is an up-and-coming bigger program now, and the numbers are getting better right now. And we have a great guy, our buddy Dave, who does Falsigno, who is running the league now. And last week we had an opening day for first time I think in the history that we had them both at the same time within about an hour. There was 1,000 people here at least. The parking lots were full. It was a beautiful day. We got both the Little League opening day and the Girls Softball League open. It was really a positive day for Branford. So, and they got to see, we placed netting, safety netting on the property. We also took care of all the trees around the area, and we're going to continue to do that. And then when we take down trees, just so people know, we plant more. So I can't thank enough to our tree warden, Gary Zielinski, along with the Branford Green Committee, also the Branford Forest Commission, who's very involved, Ivy Bigelow, Shirley McCarthy, Dave Minicozy. All those people are really involved with helping us preserve what we have for our trees and looking to plant more, which is obviously great for the environment, and we're going to continue to do that.
Now, Can you speak a little bit about this little installation right here?
Yeah, again, team effort, actually done by, I give credit to the engineer department, John Hofferly, Kevin, and obviously Jen Aquino, who took it as a project. University of Connecticut was involved, got a grant. Jen, they designed it, engineering came down, and it's a great, because this whole area is it's a rain garden, and it really takes all the water that comes off of the courts and comes down here to drain and go into rain gardens. Are very popular, and you'll see we have a few of them. We have one right outside of the court, and we have them inside where our splash pad is, which you'll see in a few minutes. So
now the courts, Alex. They're just pristine. They're just magnificent, and of course, over the years, they've been upgraded too.
Yeah, so that we redid all the tennis courts here. Those poles, which look brand new, those are 50 years old, but we repainted them. We put up new lighting, LED lighting.
You did?
We redid all the courts. We improved the drainage. And also we have 8 clay courts, which is so unusual in a town to have that. So, and obviously they become, as you can see, they serve as pickleball courts.
Yeah, because I see the blue striping on the courts for pickleball.
Yes, and we have 8 pickleball courts here. We have 4 tennis courts and 8, and we kind of work together. And it's really, pickleball is up and coming. In the future plans, you'll see standalone pickleball courts at Vets Park. Hopefully here someday. We have a big area out here, which we've talked about expanding. But right now, what we're trying to bring back here is we have horseshoes, and we're going to be
the stakes right there.
We're looking to maybe put another bocce court down here. This is the future plans.
Oh, good.
Revive this maybe as an Eagle Scout project pretty soon, and then also we have some standalone courts we can put down the other end. But it takes, obviously it takes money. Those clay courts cost approximately $30,000 a year to maintain.
It's fantastic though, because to a real tennis player, courts are, only clay courts will do. So that's great. They have them here.
And the seniors, and even the younger teams like it. But we also use this as a court for many tournaments for kids. Yeah. We also have a pickleball tournament that's coming up around Mother's Day weekend. But it's just phenomenal. So we came a long way with doing that. And Foot Trust, all by non-taxable. So we've written over $1 million of grants, for Foot Trust in the last 9 years, and it's really showing. And we redid one of the other big projects. We replaced all the roofs throughout any of the structures in here, the building itself, and we redid the restrooms, girls and boys restrooms, and handicap accessible.
You talk about how, all the grants, that you request of the Foot Trust, they always grant them. They grant them, Alex, because, I'm sure they come down and they see what the tremendous improvements have been made here.
I think really, too, I think a lot of times people don't mind putting money into when they see results.
Yeah.
So I think the only reason that we've been really successful on the parks end of it, because when I started, we had $0 in parks. Joe and I used to have to take it out of our budget itself. There just wasn't enough, and so we've built that. We've built that up over the years. So now we really have not only do we have a operating capital project for maintenance during the year, but we also have a big capital plan, and we're always 5 years ahead of the time, and like what they expect, and we chip away at it. So I think you're seeing the results. We're going to move across to show you that area where the restrooms, the splash pad, which was a big hit. Actually, that was ahead of schedule by a couple of years. Gene Crowley was on our board, really pushed it for us in our board, and then we put another playground in it. So there's other plans to come, and I'll show you what we've done with a new technology called post-tension on how we're going to build courts in the future. So our first one is going to be over here at the Foot Park basketball court. Okay,
so right now what we're going to do is take a quick walk over and see the new playground and the splash pad that I've heard so much good things about.
Yeah, and Frank, last before least, thank you again for being here with Henry Pond and yourself, Frank B. Toohill, for another time around town. Like being your guest every year. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, you're welcome, sir. Okay, so stay with us. Around the Town of Branford with Henry and Frank continues. Okay, we just completed our short walk. We're now at a different corner of Foot Park, right by the main entrance. You can see the Foot Park sign behind us. I'm with Branford's Park and Recreation Director of long-term Alex Paluzzi Jr. He's telling us and showing us some of the wonderful improvements that have been made to Branford parks. We started out down at Hammer Field, which is wonderful, nice and green, all done organically, and right now we're here at Foot Park. So, Alex, I mean, every single year we come down with you, and you have more and more great improvements. And so, would you please tell us and show us what's going on now?
Yeah, so Frank, some of the bigger improvements we talked a little bit about, we redid we actually have a sitting wall over to Henry's right over here, our left. One of the improvements a few years ago, we redid the roofs on this building, but more importantly, we put a handicap accessible restrooms in there, a water bottle filling station, as well as a area for people to sit on when they're with their young kids.
Wonderful.
And then what happened before, if Henry pans off a little bit, you'll see in the distance a basketball court, another playground where you improve those roofs there. That's a future project to replace that. I'll talk about it a little bit later, and you'll see my guys right now grooming the fields. Jeff Sitz does a phenomenal game, getting ready for games tonight. And one of the things is we have to maintain these every day so that we keep the weeds out. And as you can see, all the gardens that were done and planted and mulched, and that area over there is just we had opening day there, was just absolutely beautiful. But one of the biggest things that was really driven by one of our board members, Gene Crowley, in the community was this splash pad, which actually the town did help us in purchasing it. I thought it was going to be down the road. It was going to be, I think it was for 2025,
yep.
And now we got this done in 2023 last year. So we were almost 2 years ahead of it. This was supposed to open up this year, but we fast-tracked it. We had probably one of the best construction projects we had that did this. It worked to perfection. We opened it on July 31st of last year, and we ran it for 2 months. We're going to reopen it after Memorial Day, probably closer when the kids get out of school.
Wow.
And what's great about it is everyone says, oh, is it rotating water? I said, no. Recyclable water. No, it does drain out. We have rain gardens, as you can see. We have 3 rain gardens,
yep.
Special rain gardens there. And when people are here, and if they're not here, the water doesn't run. We'll have it on for about 8 to 10 hours a day, but it only runs when the kids are using it. And boy, do they use it. But it really, you have to wait for the warm weather and to come up there. And we're not sure about the cost. They said, it cost us a few $1,000s last year. I think that'll double this year, maybe even triple because of what we had last year. But I'm not as worried because the Foot Trust, we write a grant every year, and we would adjust our operating dollars. This past year, we were looking for a $300,000 grant. I talked about that conceptual plan that we have that's going to be for us in the future to determine what we can do. One of the big things for girls softball was they have no dugouts there. They have no protective dugouts. They have no protective netting. They have new backstops and fencing. We're going to improve that. So the Foot Trust, the day after the Board of Finance gave us that, so we got $175,000 for capital money to improve the safety netting, dugouts for all 3 of the ball fields, and also to redo the clay. The clay's in such great shape now, I don't want to touch it.
It looks great. Oh, that's all such good news, Alex.
Yeah, and then if we keep panning to the left through the sign here, we redid this sign last year. We kept what was there. That's the original sign from 1972.
It used to be brown.
Right, but we redid it and painted it.
Beautiful.
A guy named Joel Evans and Butch painted the backboards, did a great job there.
Yeah.
It's lit up. And then off here we did another small toddler, which was a very big need for the kids. Swings, and as you can see, our toddler age kids didn't have an area to go, so it kind of goes with the splash pad. They play on that, and then they jump on that. And actually, what's funny about the splash pad, the pickleballers that you saw go out of here, they step in there too.
Oh yeah,
so,
of course, to cool off.
Yeah, so we've made a lot of improvements down here.
Oh sure.
We're going to continue to do that.
That's wonderful.
I'm really happy getting back to that conceptual plan. Part 2 was, okay, we did 50-70 field. We did it before the plan started. We got the money allocated for one of the biggest needs in town, which was 2 more turf fields like the high school, all lit, basketball courts, playground, new playground for the kids, softball field lits, all lit up. That was first phase 1, which, yes,
That's at Walsh, not the high school.
Yes, it's a school project, but Jamie took the lead on it, and it's really a town project, as you know.
They can use it after the school's over.
So that it's primarily the students of the school use it, but the students of the school are the kids that use it after school. So
Yeah.
it's really a great asset.
Oh,
The
it's
parking,
wonderful.
the parking's there, the most parking in Branford.
Sure.
So it was one of the greatest. It'll be one of the greatest things that I'm proud that I was part of, to be able to help it to get to fruition. Again, thanking First Selectman Cosgrove and Jim Finch, the brain trust, as I call him, really to kind of figure it out for us so that we can look down the road for our kids and our grandchildren and many generations to come. So
It'll be wonderful.
so again, football. We're so lucky since in 2015 when the town we got together and we took over Foot Park that Branford has. I can never say, I'm always proud of that. We have a small budget that we're able to get a lot, but I have a lot of great talented staff.
Yeah,
All that arts and cultural stuff we do on them. We brought in Colin Sheehan.
Yeah, he's doing great.
It never would have happened without the support of the administration. But we worked at it. My staff worked at it. We write grants for our programs, and I'm really proud of that. We've written over millions of dollars of grants over the last year. I'm waiting for one last grant to come in from the state. I'm praying that can really finish it. A brand new playground up at Veterans Memorial Park, which really hasn't been done since 1980. Brushy Plain, yeah. So we're really happy about that. We're going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue to write grants, look for grants. I'm going to write them in the full. But that's how the town of Branford does it. We're out of 135 million, we're $1 million. Think about that, Frank.
Yeah.
For $1 million budget, and the other $200,000 coming out of Foot Trust, I think we do pretty good.
I mean, that's only 0.6% of the town's budget.
Not even 1%.
Yeah,
so
that's
I think we do pretty well.
No,
I'm most
excellent.
proud of that.
The best.
But when you have good people, you have a great team.
Yeah.
It never would have happened. Again, and Jamie's developed a great team. One thing that I can say that he's done as a team, I go back and I talked to Mount Judy Gott back in the day, as a team concept that she started. And I've had great people throughout the year. I've learned something from each of the administration.
Yeah.
But what Jamie's done is he's made our town and our departments all team oriented, and that how we work well together, engineering with public works and parks and rec, and it really shows.
You said a long time ago that right at the time Jamie was first elected back in 2013, you said that one of the great things he brings to the town as first selectman, right? It's the experience. It's the construction acumen.
Yeah,
That's what you said. Construction acumen.
Well, he says I'm still learning.
We all are.
But I'm proud. No, I'm proud of that. I kind of know what a bell trap is now, and that goes back to the community house and stuff. But now I'm pretty. I'm involved in construction of the field, so I've really learned a lot. But it's good to when I did listen to them. When I did, they listened to me, but I listened to them because they really that I took advantage, and so and the town did, of his construction experience, because he's got they see things that we don't see sometimes. I can dream it, but they kind of can see it.
He can do it. Yeah.
And they can do it. So I think that's one of the, in the last 10 years we've really done a really lot of work.
I know, all over town too, all different
but
parts.
again, we spent a lot of money, yes, but it's all going into our town. I mean, we're one of the top run towns in the whole state of Connecticut. Our AAA bonding, Joe Mooney on the Board of Finance,
I know.
Jim Finch, who was the previous finance director. You have that's the brain trust.
That's right. That's right.
Cosgrove, Finch, and Mooney. That's the
three,
brain trust of the town. To be
it's
honest,
true. Yeah. Well, and also Paluzzi's, which could go in there too.
No, I'm just following their lead. So.
Okay.
But again, Frank, thanks so much for educating the town on that, just so they kind of know what happens. And I'm really happy that we were able to, within this plan, this conceptual plan, we started on it before it came to fruition, it's going to be a legal document now that everyone will be able to see. And it doesn't mean we have to do everything. We can make changes, but at least we have an idea what the cost would be, which we kind of know is like $46 million. We're cutting out $7 million of that right now, which leaves $40 million. And it doesn't mean, because as we know, prices go up, but it gives us a conceptual plan that we can do something in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That's what it's all about. And the Board of Recreation town can look at that to see where we are and move in that direction. And Hammerfield 50-70 baseball field, which was a cry out there, and also the girls softball, who was really supportive of us. the boys have dugouts, the girls need to have dugouts. So that's kind of what and they're a different way of dugouts now. It's really protective fencing in a dugout. They're kind of open nowadays, not the old cinder block type. But it's really up and coming. I'm proud that we were able to get it, and that work will happen in the next year, July 1st on. So,
that's great.
And we'll continue to move on, and even down the road, in my capacity when I'm not in charge as director of Parks and Recreation, I'll be from the outside in trying to support obviously Parks and Recreation and what we do in this town.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I have a love of town like you do,
I know it's true. All right, so there's another corner that Alex wants us to see. So it's involving construction. So we're going to take a quick walk over and. You'll show us that, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a state-of-the-art new technology of a way of how they're building courts in the Northeast as much as tennis courts too, and pickleball courts.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, stay with us. Around the Town of Branford with Henry and Frank continues. So we just walked again, the magnificent foot park, which is, improved. And as Alex has just explained to us, the cost to operate this park under the Town of Branford's ownership for 9 years has been cut in half. And all the improvements that were made, paid for by the Foot Trust. Every grant that Alex asked for from the Foot Trust for capital improvements is granted by the Foot Trust. They're very pleased with what they see when they come down here. I'm currently looking out now right at the beautiful ball fields, which were just groomed, and it's all emerald green. I don't see one weed. I don't see a piece of trash. It's really...
You don't see a piece of trash because I continue to pick up trash.
You always have, I know.
And I will in the future. That'll be my volunteer job. I'm going to pick up trash.
There'll be plenty, I'm sure there'll always be plenty. So anyway, we're currently standing in front of a brand new, newly poured basketball court here at Foot Park. And brand new construction technique, Alex?
Yes, thanks, Frank. State-of-the-art, okay. New technology, okay. It's been around for a while, but we finally bought into it, But it's called post-tension, and I'm holding a piece of the post-tension cable right here. And if you look closer, you'll see where there's 2 sets of nails, about maybe a foot and a half, 2 feet.
Yes.
Every couple feet, every couple feet.
Hold the mic.
I don't want to get grease on it. There's a post-tension that is all the way through, and what it actually does. So PSI, so what they do is we all these cables are laid across the entire court.
Okay, so you mean this particular steel rod you're holding, which is
it's
twisted?
Just not this rod. This rod goes all the way across the court. Okay, and what it does, this technology, is that one of the things we have close here in the Northeast, and you can see it on the sidewalks, where there's cracks and patches.
Yep, because of the frost,
Yeah, there's a lot of maintenance that goes with that because of the frost.
Yeah.
And so in the Northeast, it's probably one of the best things that you can try to do now, and they've been doing it. It's very popular on pickleball courts. Mm-hmm. And now it's also on tennis courts and obviously basketball courts. Any type of a hard court that was asphalt, this is concrete. So what happened is we had to prepare this. Also, as you can see how thick it is, how thick the cord is.
Yeah.
All this post-tension wire goes all the way across, and what happens, it sits there after the pour. They come back a few days later, and they pull for the tension. So they have to address it. They have this machine that goes in there, and what happens is the machine goes in there, it stresses it, and what happens is it stresses it to 1,500 PSI. Then they come back at one final time, which they did today. Today was the final time, and they do it at 7,500 PSI. And so what happens is they're stressing it so that in the long run, this type of technology in court will not crack.
I see.
So every few years with asphalt, you can go for a few years, and then the cracks happen. You have to do this right-way system that comes in, which works, but it only gives you a couple more years. So you're constantly doing that.
Wow.
This 15, 20 years down the road, there won't be any cracks.
Wow.
So that's the technology. So we figured a good test for us was to utilize this basketball court.
That's great.
Which is used during our camp time. Our goal is to have it ready for camp, which it will be. So now they're going to come back. They're going to finish. They did all the tough work down the pour. It came out beautiful.
Yeah.
They're going to fill in. They're going to maintain the area around it. We're going to pour some grass, and then it'll be back to be open. You can see we have 2 basketball courts there. We have them shut down now because we're trying to keep people off that because it's dangerous right now with the taper on it. But they should, in the next couple of weeks, we should have this open by Memorial Day weekend. That's our goal.
Wow, that's wonderful.
So it should be set. So it's just new technology. I just want to show you a piece of it. This is just a piece that goes through, but that's what the post-tension looks like.
Well, that's great. That's really so interesting. So
again, a capital project paid for by the Foot Trust.
Yeah,
they gave us $150,000. It actually came in under budget. Maybe in the end we'll spend a little bit more because of what we have to do around the side. But it was about, I think that we went out to bid. The price came in at 118. So we did really well. So we have some money so we can TLC around here and put some grass or turf, whatever we need. So
that's great. Also, too, don't forget Foot Park. I mean, people come down here for the walking trails. Beautiful view. You can see the Branford Harbor there, the river, all the marinas right here. It's a beautiful piece of property. So right now, right before we wrap up, the last piece we're going to do here today is talk to you about the EV, the electric vehicle charging stations. There's one here, and Alex and I are going to talk to you about it and even how you can use it. So stay with us. We'll be right back. And again, I'm with Alex Paluzzi Jr., the long-term recreation and park director for the town of Branford. Stay with us. Welcome to Around the Town of Branford with Henry and Frank. I'm Frank Tuhill, and we're here at Foot Park. I'm with Branford's long-term and excellent Parks and Recreation Director, Alex Paluzzi Jr. And the purpose of this program now is to tell you and show you how you can charge your electric vehicle here at Foot Park. Now, the town of Branford has installed these chargers from Flow all over town, and there's more coming. Currently, Alex, where are the EV chargers?
So, Frank, I believe there's one at the counseling center, one at the animal shelter, and one at the one here in Foot Park. And I said counseling, fire department.
Fire department, yeah.
Fire department, counseling center, animal shelter, and here at Foot Park.
All right. So this is what happened. This is a press release which was published about 6 months ago. The town of Branford partnered with Flow. Flow is the name of the company.
Yeah.
You see it up there at the top? This is one of the largest EV charging networks in North America to install level 2 charging stations in Branford. Through an incentive from Eversource, Branford received almost $54,000 in incentives towards the project cost. Now, as Alex Paluzzi just told us, the charging stations are located at the Counseling and Community Services Building on North Harbor Street, the Daniel Cosgrove Animal Shelter, East Main, and the Branford Fire Headquarters, as well as here at Foot Park. It will serve the town of Branford's growing fleet of electric vehicles and provide accessible and convenient options for residents and visitors alike. In addition, plans are moving forward for an installation of an EV station here at Foot Park, which already happened. So here's how you, a Branford town resident, can use these charging stations. You have to download, like, you can't just come up to the station and, use a credit card. You have to download the Flow EV charging app on your smartphone or purchase a Flow card from the Flow website, www.flo.com. That's the website that you go to purchase or download onto your smartphone so you can use the Flow EV charging stations. All payments must be made through the app or website. The EV chargers do not accept credit card payments. Like I said, you can't just drive up here with your credit card. You can't do it. You got to do it in advance at www.floflow.com. And so that's basically it. And Alex is holding the actual charging cable, which, you would then put onto your car. I mean, how much time does it take to charge? Do you know?
I don't know exactly, Frank. I'm not privy to that at this point. I'm not sure, because I don't have an EV vehicle, but I'm sure we can find that out.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm not sure how long it takes, but I'm sure it takes, an hour or two, I would assume,
Yeah.
or maybe it's just a quick charge, a half hour.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly how that technology works, but I will say this: I know the town took. During the budget deliberations, they had put in for some more EV stations, I think 4 more throughout town. And they took it out of this year's budget during the Board of Finance hearings. And I know one of them, I'm not sure, I don't want to speak on behalf of the others, but one of them is going down to the community house. So there'll be another area where that can happen. But I think that, if Tyler was here right now, we would know how long it takes.
Yeah, right. That's true.
But I think it's a great asset for the town
Yeah.
because more people are going to an electric vehicle.
It's true, yeah. Okay, so that's how you do it. It's www.flow, that's F-L-O, spelled F-L-O.com. And that's how you can use one of the EV charging stations in town. Alex, it's been great to be with you down
Yeah.
here at Foot Park. You did a
Likewise,
terrific
Frank.
job
Yeah,
down
you guys
here.
did a great job. Henry, thank you so much. I'm glad we didn't wear and tear your knee too much.
Yeah.
I'll see you tonight at the Board of Selectmen meeting. And Frank, it's always a pleasure. It's very educational program that you guys put on.
Thank you.
And letting the residents know a little bit more about what's going on in our parks. I appreciate it. We'll do more down the road. It's good every few months if we can get together to see where our progress is and where we're going. But I think today we showed you a little bit about the field study, where it's going, what's happened with the WAS. We're out to bid right now. Bids will be coming in a couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll have a shovel in the ground by the summer.
Yeah.
So we can get going on that project. And in the meantime, you saw what we did at Hammerfield, building another baseball field for the 50-70 field, the 50-70 field for the in between Little League and the teen major league. And also what all the good work that's happened down here on the Foot Trust and the dollars that we put in there and the grants we wrote, just a tremendous amount of work we've done in the last few years, and you just saw some of it that's still happening right now.
It's true.
And thanks again, Frank.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you too,
Thank you,
sir.
Henry.
Thank you very much for being with us, and stay tuned to this channel because we'll be bringing more programs to you. I'm Frank Toohill for Henry Pond, and until next time, goodbye.